This poor dog was almost dead. His weight was so low that everyone could tell he was in a lot of pain. Except for one person, everyone else just walked right past the dog that looked like a skeleton. Daily, stray animals live on the streets in different parts of the world. They search for food and hope that someone will give them food or even a place to live permanently. Some of them are lucky enough to be saved and adopted. Some poor dogs are never found and saved, so they have to keep living in terrible conditions. They never get to sleep in warm beds, eat tasty food, get an owner who will love and care for them. They have a short life, sadly, and never get to see the beauty of the world that it has to offer. This dog, Hercules, was a stray dog in Argentina and lived on the streets. When your eyes meet this dog, you are able to tell that he had a terrible and hard past. But Hercules had a good start in life. He had parents who cared for him very much and showered him with lots of love. The young couple that owned Hercules took him in the house when their marriage was about to end. They were having trouble getting pregnant, so they thought that taking care of a dog would help them get closer. As soon as Hercules got to the couple's house, the fighting stopped. They took good care of the dog, and Hercules slept between them every night. Unfortunately, the fights started up again a few months later, and the pair quickly realized that this was the last time they would be happier apart. The wife then left the house one day and never came back. The husband could no longer live in the house alone, so he decided to move the next month. The memories and everything they were through kept coming back to him, so he left the house alone, leaving the poor dog behind with no one to look after him. The now ex-couple didn't even think to send the dog for adoption or to take care of him in some other way. They just left the dog alone and no one to take care of him. They forgot how happy he used to make them. Sadly, they only cared about their own problems and pain. Hercules was now by himself with no food and care, so he went out into the streets to find food and shelter. People were nice to the dog at first, as in the beginning he looked healthy, beautiful, and cute, so they fed him a lot. However, as time went by and the dog couldn't find food, was unclean, people began to avoid him when he began to lose weight and looked scraggly. They didn't want him around any longer. For Hercules, it got harder and harder to stay alive on the streets as time went on. The weather wasn't helping the dog, and he got a cold, more and more every day. Hercules started sleeping in places that were warm but dirty. Unfortunately, this made his condition worse, and he got a very bad skin condition. The poor animal began to take his fur off. He wasn't able to go outside to find food after that, so he stayed where he was and scratched his body all day long. After about a month, the animal's health got worse. He lost so much weight that all he could do was lie down and wait for his death. He looked very bad and had almost no hair left. It looked more like a skeleton than a dog, as he was so thin and his skin was so dry and dirty. Hercules was out on the streets during the holiday season, which added the sadness of his terrible fate. The streets were busy with lots of things going on as Christmas was coming up soon. There were Christmas trees and lights all over the place. Every day, people walked by Hercules without noticing and laughing as they talked about their Christmas plans. Still, no one came to help the poor animal. Around the week before Christmas, the dog's life began to slowly slip away. It was already clear that he was going to pass away very soon. People who walked by thought he was dead, and people who could see he was still living gave up hope. They didn't think the dog had a chance, so they looked at him, shook their heads, and left. Hercules had given up, and it seemed that no one could save him, but fortunately all of this was wrong. People who gave up on the animal were wrong because 2 days before Christmas, a good person came along and did something amazing. Pierre, an animal rescue worker, went to see a friend in Buenos Aires, Argentina, on December the 23rd, 2017. Pierre found out that the dog was dying and was lying around in the neighborhood when she got there. Immediately, this woman chose to help. After searching all over the area, Pierre found the dog lying next to a house. When she saw how bad the animal was, she was horrified. The dog did not look good at all. His eyes, which were barely open, looked dull, and there were sores all over his thin and bony body. I cried because I could not believe that no one had helped him, Pierre stated. It was a loving voice that she used as she knelt next to the animal and said, "Hey." The dog then looked Pierre straight in the eyes, and Pierre groaned. I was so sad when I heard him whimper. Pierre said it seemed like he was trying to tell me that he was in a lot of pain. "That's okay, I'm here now," Pierre told the dog. "I'll take you home." The dog groaned again. Pierre put the dog in a box right away, and she rushed him to a vet she knew. If she doesn't act quickly, the dog might have died. The vet told Pierre that the dog might be able to live if he could make it through the Christmas holiday. He also told the girl that she would have to take care of the dog all the time. I was ready to give it all it required to make sure the dog lived, so I dropped every other thing I was doing and focused on him, Pierre stated. After getting the puppy the right care at the vet, Pierre took him home to rest. She gave the dog a nice comfy place to stay, and then sat next to him and told him she would never leave him. He just had to take his time getting better. Even though Pierre tried hard, the dog wouldn't eat for the first 3 days, so he kept losing weight. He didn't want to live, and I could tell he had already given up. "It broke my heart," Pierre said. The dog wouldn't eat, but Pierre made sure he had water every 3 hours to keep him refreshed. She sat next to him, so he knew he wasn't the only one going through hard times. I thought the dog was going to die twice in the first 3 days. It was crazy. He didn't look good at all, Pierre said. At one point, he was barely breathing. Things changed for good after the first week. Hercules started fighting for his life, and each day he got better. He began to show me that he was stronger than I thought, and I loved every minute of it, Pierre said. Pierre would try to pick up Hercules so he can be more active while he was healing and try to get him to walk, but he couldn't. She would often tell the dog that she had all the time in the world so she can help the poor dog. After 3 weeks, something wonderful happened. Hercules got up out of the blue and began walking on his own, but he fell after just a few steps. No matter what, Pierre was happy because she saw it as a sign that the animal was now trying hard to stay alive and get better. The following week, Hercules took his first steps towards moving around. He would walk for half an hour and then trip. He was able to walk for an hour before he fell again, then for a whole day, and finally for a week without falling. The dog was healthy and doing good. It was now running around the house and jumping all over her. The once dying dog was now healthy and happy, thanks to this beautiful soul. During this time, Pierre chose to give the stray dog a name as she didn't know what his real name was. I had been so worried and worked up that it never occurred to me that I didn't know his name, and he needed one, she told me. She named him Hercules after the Greek god of heroes. What a befitting name for a dog who went to hell and back, Pierre stated. The dog got stronger as he healed more, and his fur began to grow back as well. Here is what Hercules looks like after 2 months of getting lots of love and care from Pierre. The once poor dog is a joy to watch now. Who would have thought that under that dead, skeletal animal was such a cute, sweet, and lively soul? Pierre had planned to put Hercules for adoption once he was fully better, but she became so attached to him that she couldn't do that. I am so glad that Pia's hard work had paid off, said the vet. Now Pierre and her animal friend can look forward to days full of love, fun, and happiness. If Pierre hadn't looked at Hercules, this wouldn't have been possible. Did you have a chance to help dogs or any animals like this? What do you think? Should heroes like Pierre be valued more, and people like the ex-owners of the dog should be punished for leaving their pets in bad conditions? Let us know in the comments below. Subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one.